What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Twisted Twenties. This is a podcast dedicated to reminding you of your God given purpose through personal testimonies, trials, and grief. I believe that each and every single one of us was created with a purpose, for a purpose, and it is up to us to align with it. I'm your host, T. Louise, and I am so excited for today's episode, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. It's been some things going on in my Twisted 20s world, okay? I just did my second interview, but this interview was a lot different from the first one I did. So this one was live. Like, I actually had to go somewhere and I was actually being interviewed on a show called Loose Lips. So shout out to my Loose Lips fam, y'all. Like, I was so nervous. I was so nervous for the interview, but they made me feel so welcome, and it made me feel like a group of friends were just having a conversation. It was so it was just such a eye-opening moment for me. I'm so blessed and so grateful to have been able to do that interview. There's a lot of other updates coming along with Twisted 20s, and I will announce those as soon as I kind of piece everything together. But first and foremost, today's episode is about familiar cycles. Y'all, this episode is going to be so good, so impactful, and so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be full of nuggets. So I really hope that you guys are going to be listening. Kudos to you for listening to this episode and being consistent every single Monday and listening to Twisted 20s. So if you guys are not subscribed to Twisted 20s, whatever platform you are listening to Twisted 20s on, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button so that you can get the notification every single Monday when a new episode has dropped. Warmer update before we get into this episode. Make sure you guys email me anything, reviews, questions. If you would like to be a co-host on Twisted 20s, please email me a 2 to 3 minute video to submissions@twisted20s.org. You can also contact me directly through the Twisted 20s website as well. So with that being said, you guys, we are about to get into today's podcast episode. All right, y'all. So, do you know what familiar cycles are? Familiar cycles are, I got a few definitions because I wanted to make sure I hit every key point to how familiar cycles can start or what familiar cycles are. But they are places, situations, and when I say places, I could mean a place that you always come to in your life. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like a place that you actually go to. Places, situations, circumstances, relationships that always seem to bring you temporary comfort, but always end with the same negative outcomes. Familiar cycles are also detrimental to our purpose. And the reason why I say that is because if you stay in the same familiar cycle, the same familiar space that's comfortable to you, the same familiar space that seems to be causing you and bringing you the same negative outcome, you can harm, self-sabotage, keep yourself from truly living and walking in your purpose. Familiar cycles are those cycles that place us in the same situations, with the same people, in the same circumstances, and it's just with a different name and a different face. And sometimes familiar cycles can even be passed down from generation to generation. Sometimes it can be a generational cycle. I have an episode about generational curses, but I do feel like generational curses is different from a cycle. Generational curses is things that I like to consider spiritual warfare that we deal with. Cycles are things that we continue to do, continue to just do because it's comfortable, or we continue to do it because that's what we were shown, and we don't see it as a problem. My sister and my brother told me that cycles feel normal. And when we think that something is normal, we think that it's okay. But when you look at your cycles, what is it causing? Where is it causing dysfunction or conflict? So if it's causing dysfunction or conflict, if it's causing dysfunction or conflict, then this is a familiar cycle that needs to be dealt with. In my own personal experience, when it comes to familiar cycles, I've had really rough familiar cycles when it came to relationships, friendships, and relationships with men that always turned out to be the same thing, same situation, same circumstance, same, like literally the same root thing of the situationship, just with different faces, just with different names. I have talked about Friends on a blog. So if you guys have not heard that, if you haven't read it, go and read it at twisted20s.org. But I talk about two particular friends that really tainted my view of relationships with women and friendships. And so, same situation, same circumstance, two different people, two different faces. And so familiar cycles always put us in the same situations with different people. Familiar cycles of addiction, familiar cycles of laziness. Like, I'm not going to call my mom lazy because she did everything that she had to do to take care of us. But there were certain parts of her life where she was lazy. There was a cycle of mismanagement of money. Like, we don't really talk about that. Like, don't even get me started. Like, mismanagement of money. That's a cycle. Like, we grow up in a cycle of poverty. Like, people think it's just a generational curse. Like, it's really a cycle that we live in. It's a cycle that we see, a cycle that's passed down to us. Poverty mindset. It's like sometimes we're able to get the money, but we can't keep the money. We out here mismanaging it. We're spending it on stuff that's not going to build wealth. We're spending it on money that's not going to even build something for us to have next week, yet alone the next 5 years. Mismanagement of money. The cycle of laziness and ignorance. Not fulfilling, not being consistent. Sometimes when stuff is shown to us, because that's what we saw, we think that it's okay. It's not. Like, I knew for me, as an example, I'll give y'all an example. Growing up, I knew I wasn't meant to be like some poor person, struggling to pay bills, wondering how I'm gonna pay my bills. Like, I just knew that it wasn't, that lifestyle wasn't for me. I lived it as a child. I've lived it in my adulthood. I've been homeless twice out of my life. The second time that I became homeless, I said to myself, yeah, this ain't it. I never want to be in this position again. Even after that, I still struggle with actually being consistent. I struggle with believing in myself. I still struggle with all these different things. But I knew that the cycle had to end with me, because I refuse to bring children in this world. I refuse to birth anything and not give it an opportunity to have something better than what I had. Familiar cycles are so detrimental to our purpose. Familiar cycles can cause us to self-sabotage with fear. Fear can be a cycle. Familiar cycles can put us in harming situations. Familiar cycles can even taint our view of ourselves. Familiar cycles don't allow us to move past where we've been. Familiar cycles can give us a mindset that wherever we are, however we grew up, or whatever I have in this current moment is all that I'm going to have. Because familiar cycles don't allow you to get out of a space of being comfortable. Because it's familiar. And most times things that are familiar are comfortable. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean that it's good for you. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean that it brings purpose. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean that it's not harmful. Some of us are even in familiar cycles of poverty. We don't want better for ourselves. Some of you that may be listening may think that where you are currently is all that you will ever have. Some of you really may see yourselves like that. And let me tell you, that's not true. Now don't get me wrong. There are some people in this life who will be poor, who will have a life of poverty. But I wholeheartedly believe that if you are listening to Twisted Twenties, that you are meant and you are destined for more. Because if you weren't, you would not be listening to Twisted Twenties. And that is how I feel about that. Because I created this podcast so that I can remind you that you have purpose. I created this podcast so that you can remember who you are, who you were created to be. So that you can heal from things that happened to you in childhood. So that you can heal from things that have caused you to self-sabotage with fear. Familiar cycles. I have 3 prayers this week. I think. Let me see. Yeah. So I have 3 prayers. I feel like prayer number 2 and prayer number 3 is kind of the same thing. But anyway, so the first prayer is, God, reveal to me the cycles I've been trapped in and show me the exit strategy. God, reveal to me the cycles I have been trapped in and show me the exit strategy. I feel like when it comes to our cycles, we have to understand that there's an exit strategy. Like there's some way for us to get off of this roller coaster ride. Like it has to come to a stop at some point. And there probably have been multiple opportunities for you to get off the roller coaster, but you just continue to go and go and go and go and go. But eventually you keep riding that roller coaster, you're going to throw up. And that's why you always end up in the same negative outcomes. Prayer number 2. God, reveal to me how my current cycles have affected opportunities, my business or product ideas, my family, or my life. And the reason why I included that is just in case there's anybody who's in entrepreneurship like myself, because what I've learned is every decision that we make, every time I self-sabotage with fear, every time I've made a decision, it's always detrimental, not just to my purpose, but my business, my product launches, my product ideas. It always affects it. And so that question again is, God, reveal to me how my current cycles have affected my opportunities, my business or product ideas, my family, or my life. And then question number 3, which is why I said I feel like question 1 and 2 kind of mimic each other. But question number 3 is, God revealed to me how the cycles have been detrimental to my purpose. Well, maybe it's not the same thing. It felt like it was when I was writing it, but then I was like, I'm gonna keep it because I feel like it's just two different things. So God revealed to me how my cycles have been detrimental to my purpose. And so for me, like my cycle of addiction caused me to be familiar and comfortable with suppressing how I was feeling. But it wasn't healthy. And I always ended up in the same negative space, the same negative mindset. I always ended up feeling the same way afterwards. The same. I didn't feel better after I would suppress with weed. I wouldn't feel better after smoking all day long. And I ain't talking about like 2 or 3 blunts. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 times a day I would be smoking. Soon as I would feel like my high was coming down, I would get high again. And, people can say, hey, you can't be addicted to weed. But you sure can be addicted to the feeling that it gives you, especially if you're suppressing something. I wanted to feel numb after my mom died. Like, I didn't want to feel nothing. I didn't want to feel no pain. But I didn't realize that I was stuck in a cycle of suppression, not talking about how I feel. And a lot of us are stuck in a cycle of not speaking up, not speaking out about what's really on our minds, which is why mental health is so big. It is so big. Like, we cannot neglect our mental health. Like, our brain is the largest, or it's like the main organ in our body or something like that. And it controls everything. Like, we need our mind to be right. If your mind is not right, your body is not right. Like, we really need that. Do not get trapped in a cycle of that. I don't go to therapy. Therapy for white people. No, it's not. You can go to therapy too. And like I said on Loose Lips on Sunday, if you can't afford therapy, listen to Twisted Twenties. I'm enough therapy for you if you cannot afford to go to therapy. Because some of the same things I be talking about on here, I've talked about in therapy. So, seriously. Ask God what your familiar cycles are. How have they been detrimental to your purpose? Because my familiar cycles were costing me my purpose. My familiar cycles were causing for me to not explore past limitations that I had put on myself. And that's what familiar cycles do. Like, they just put us at a limitation. And it's not limitations that, sometimes I feel like it can be limitations that people have put on you, but sometimes it's limitations that we've put on ourselves. And that's why familiar cycles are not healthy. Familiar cycles are places, situations, circumstances, relationships that bring you temporary comfort. But they always end with the same negative outcomes. They're so detrimental to our purpose because they place us in the same cycles with the same people, same type of people, same situations. But the people always have different faces, different names. And sometimes our families can pass down cycles to us because we've watched them, we see them, we've grown up in them. And sometimes we don't let them go once we become an adult. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're in a cycle. I really hope this episode has helped you to understand what familiar cycles is. I know it was, you know what? I need to stop doing that. That's a familiar cycle. It really is. Like, God just revealed one to me. My familiar cycle is always trying to sugarcoat or always trying to water down something that I've said. Like, if y'all have noticed at the end of some episodes, I'll say, I hope this episode was encouraging. I know this podcast wasn't like my usual, like, as if what I've said isn't of value. So, revelation. Even I get revelation. So, seriously. I thank you guys for listening to today's episode. If you guys, once again, would like to be a co-host on Twisted Twenties, please send me a 2 to 3 minute video to submissions@twistedtwenties.org. I would love to hear from you and what value you feel that you could bring to the Twisted Twenties family. Also, if you have any reviews, questions, concerns, episode topics, you can also email me as well at submissions@twistedtwenties.org. Also, make sure you guys are checking out the Twisted Twenties blog, and make sure you guys subscribe to my website, because I post new blogs every week. I think it's on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So 3 blogs a week. I'm telling y'all do not want to miss. I love you guys. Peace, love, and blessings. T. Louise.